Hey, so here's the deal. You're in your early 20s, young adults, everywhere you look on social media, wherever you see the world's messed up, right? Everything's crazy, politicians, social divisions, feels like government's breaking. But I think that no one is really talking to you about why this is happening and making you curious and telling you about the opportunity on the other side of this crazy period. So TW and I decided to kind of put our heads together and see how can we reach young adults in the 2020s and bring a bit of hope, motivation, and try to light a little bit of curiosity around the opportunities. Like, what if all this craziness really is leading to something better? So hopefully you'll want to listen a little bit more and see what we have to say. I'm a parent, very technology focused. I've led a couple software companies, coached a lot of youth sports. I really just like getting into the minds of young people and helping them think bigger, think differently, grow a little bit, maybe because it just makes me feel younger. I've got 2 kids I'm a parent of. I've loved that. And we have some amazing conversations and really just trying to broaden that horizon and see if anybody else out there is really interested in an exciting future. TW, why don't you kind of share your background?
Yeah, my name is TW Woodward, and I'm the mad scientist type. I've got half dozen projects going on at any one time. Not afraid to blow things up. Sometimes I do. Made a guitar amp once that famously smoked out, and we had to leave the house. But I'm generally on the bleeding edge of technology. I like to play with new technology as it emerges. And I try to bring that into my work life. So my job is to build products and systems, both hardware and software, and try and guide that to a market fit, mostly with startup companies. And that's really how I met Jeff.
Yeah, and so TW and I are sitting here trying to think, well, how can we get people to engage? How will we keep people listening if we start talking? And I've kind of laid out 2 rules. One, I don't think you'll keep listening if you're here to be entertained. This isn't about entertainment. And we're also not here to be political. So if you're trying to pick one side or the other, that's not the goal here. Politically, like I've probably been a little more right, that's moved a lot center, and TW's historically probably been a little bit left and moved more to the center. And we've had some really engaging conversations about that. From different perspectives that have kind of culminated on this view of the future that's way more in the middle. So this isn't about politics. What it really is about is some topics that we think should be a part of your high school education, your college education, but really they don't get covered. And this ties in the intersection of economics and history and geopolitical cycles. That I think that if it was taught in school, you probably would have been more engaged than you maybe were. So really, the thesis of this is like, what if all this turmoil and all this, all these we'll call it just craziness that you see in all facets of life is actually the country reinventing itself as we speak? And what if it's actually right on schedule? Like, this has happened in the past through 3 key cycles that we can trace back through history of how the country evolved with different institutions. And by institutions, I mean like government or healthcare policy or the higher education, these things that get built by society, call them institutions. What if there's a cycle, general cycle, where they get broken and then rebuild every 80 years? And what if there's a technology cycle as well, where every 50 years there's a new technology that transforms jobs and changes productivity and creates all kinds of new things that creates change? And there's also this concept of a debt cycle, where you hear about the debt that the country's in and things like the gold standard that I'll not go into detail here that have been evolving. And here's the thing, like in the 2020s, all 3 of those cycles are all reaching their endpoint for the first time ever at the same time in American history. And that is really what is happening here that we think is tied to all this craziness. Now, before I go any further, I'm not an expert in any of this. What the knowledge base that TW and I are talking about here comes from, in-depth reads of probably 15 or 20 different books that he and I have gone back and forth on the last few years around the history of money, the history of the Federal Reserve, fiat currency. These are things maybe that you haven't heard of, but that then took us to a deep dive around Bitcoin. And well, why does Bitcoin exist? Because of blockchain technology. And of course, we work in our daily lives around AI technology, so we've got that angle covered too. But there's other things like generational cycles and the fourth turning, which is an interesting term that we want to talk about and explain. And really, all the things that we're feeling can actually be tied back to different connections of different thoughts across these 15 to 20 books, plus all the podcasts that we listen to. And I know you guys are mainly Gen Z or probably Gen Z. You're not going to go read a bunch of books. So what we wanted to do was synthesize, all that we took, the connection of all these points across these books, and throw that into our own kind of short read, and then provide episodes, content that dives deeper into, that short read document, which I think is about 30 pages. What we've done is we put this all together on a website for you that you can go check out. TW will give you the details on what that website is.
Yeah, go to generationbuiltforthestorm.com. That's your generation, by the way. So when Jeff starts talking about Gen Z, I mean, you guys might just look at us and go, these guys are out of touch. They look old. Truth is, like Jeff said before, we're concerned parents, and we have done a lot of research, and we know a lot about these different technologies and these different moments in history converging. And so this document that we're talking about, we call it the guide. We don't really know what to call it. Like Jeff said, it's about 30 pages long. You go to generationbuiltforthestorm.com. You can download it. You can read it with friends. Our great hope is that this document will stir up curiosity, stir up, I think, optimism, right? That's the key thing here is like there's a lot of hope and optimism that your generation should have, because the convergence of these different technologies, and not just that, but kind of the old institutions breaking down, are really creating this unique moment in time that even though things around us might seem like they're crumbling, it's because they are. And what this document, the attention is, it kind of outlines why these things are crumbling. And then it hopefully gives kind of a playbook as to ways to look at this and spark your curiosity as far as, hey, can I be part of the solution to the problems that we're seeing right now? So the document's there, generationbuiltforthestorm.com. Read it, pass it around to your friends. We're hoping this sparks we're hoping to have conversations with you guys too. Like that's the plan for this podcast is not just a couple old guys talking at you like parents would. We're trying to be a couple of old guys that are trying to understand this too, right? As we're all going through it. And we have a ton of faith in our kids and everybody else your age that's in your generation ready to take on this challenge.
Yeah, that's really well said. And you might be saying, well, what's your motivation? Why are you doing this? I mean, we want to spark curiosity, but ultimately we are two people from tech companies, tech founders. And ultimately, if you read through this and see what we're suggesting at the end of the opportunity and this convergence of AI and blockchain, we're looking to meet young people who are really intrigued by these topics. And we ultimately want to know, who are the builders of this next generation, these next institutions? Would love to meet you. And so hopefully this project, this effort is a way to bring some good questions and hopefully do some good. So please take a look. TW, why don't you say the website one more time, and then we'll sign off.
Generationbuiltforthestorm.com.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Take care.